Before I begin my story, I would like to tell you a little about myself. I was born in 1930 in a small coastal town in Australia. My parents were both avid sailors, and I grew up on the water. As a child, I loved nothing more than spending time at sea with them. When I turned 16, I decided that I wanted to take my love of sailing to the next level. I wanted to be a real sailor and explore the world of the sea. My parents were hesitant because they were aware of the difficulties and dangers that a sailor has to face, but eventually, they agreed to let me go on a journey with a group of experienced sailors when they realized how passionate I was about it. So, on October 1930, I went to Hull, and the next day we sailed for East London. It was all going well, but one night, disaster struck. There was a terrible storm in the sea. The storm was so dangerous and powerful that it threw our boat off course. I was very terrified. I was feeling like I was going to die any moment. We were lost at sea for days with no land in sight. We were all weak and hungry. One by one, my companions began to die. Some of them jumped into the sea, hoping to swim to safety. But they never came back. I watched in horror as my friends disappeared into the vast, dark waters. I was also trying, but the waves were throwing me very hard. As I regained consciousness, I found myself lying on a sandy beach. The sea had calmed down, and I was the only one on the island. I looked around and saw dense forests and tall trees that towered over me. There were many different types of strange fruits growing on the trees. I realized that I needed to find food and water if I wanted to survive on the island. I set off into the forest and soon found a small stream of fresh water. I cupped my hands and drank from it. The water tasted clean and refreshing, and I felt relieved. As I continued to explore the island, I discovered many different types of fruits growing on the trees. I plucked some of the fruits and ate them. They were sweet and juicy. However, as I was eating the fruits, I heard strange noises coming from the bushes and saw some animals scurrying around. I realized that I had to be careful and avoid the dangerous animals that lived on the island. One day, as I was exploring the forest, I saw a large, fierce-looking animal in front of me. It was a wild boar, and it looked angry. I knew that I needed to defend myself, so I picked up a large stick and held it in front of him. The boar charged at me, but I was quick and managed to dodge it. Then I hit the boar with the stick, and it ran away. I continued to explore the island and found some shelter in a cave. It was dark and damp, but it provided me with some protection from the weather and animals. The weather on my island was usually very hot, and there was often heavy rain. Despite the danger, I couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of the island. The trees were tall and majestic, and there were many colorful flowers growing on the ground. The sea was a deep blue, and I could see many different types of fish swimming in the water. As time went by, I adapted to life on the island. I learned how to catch fish in the sea and how to hunt for animals in the forest. I built a small shelter near the beach and started a fire to keep warm at night. I knew that I needed to find a way to get back home. I spent many days looking out to sea, hoping to spot a passing ship. However, no ships came, and I felt a sense of hopelessness creeping over me. But one day, while I was out looking for food, I heard the sound of a siren. It was a ship in the distance. I could not believe my eyes. I ran as fast as I could back to the beach and made a fire with dry wood and green leaves to create smoke, hoping the ship would see it. As the ship came closer, I realized that it was a British ship. I felt a surge of hope and joy in my heart. I ran back to the beach, waving my hands and shouting at the top of my lungs to get their attention. The ship came closer, and I could see the crew looking at me through their spyglass. After a few moments, the ship's captain came closer to the shore. I ran to the shore and saw a small boat rowing towards me. As the boat came closer, I recognized the captain of the ship. It was my father's friend, Captain Bill. I could not believe my luck. I had been rescued by someone I knew. Captain Bill welcomed me aboard his ship and listened to my story. He was amazed that I had managed to survive on the island for so long. I told him how I had lost my companions and how I had managed to survive on the island. The crew gave me food, water, a place to rest. They were all amazed by my story and admired my bravery and determination. After a few days, the ship finally arrived in London. I was reunited with my family, who were overjoyed to see me alive and well. My father hugged me tightly and told me how proud he was of me. From that day on, I never forgot the lessons I had learned on the island. I knew that life was full of challenges, but I also knew that with determination and perseverance, anything was possible.